Push is the new game mode in Overwatch 2, and while a lot of people look at it and go, hey, Push absolutely better than 2CP, we've had some takes come out recently that 2CP is in fact the better game mode. So what's going on and who's saying it, and do they have a point? Well, first up, we had a tweet go out there from J3, known entity in the Overwatch world. After 2 weeks of playing the beta and the Push mode, I have to say 2CP greater than Push. I said it. Mostly I'd say we've got disagreement coming with him in the comments here, but we do have quite a bit of agreement. In fact, we have agreement coming in from Danteh as well. 2CP was fine, changed my mind. So we obviously have discussions of both of these tweets and the concept in general in the comments, and these mostly centralize around a few big points. The first of which is, hey, the big problem with 2CP was that if you lose your defensive round, say in 2 team fights, you're now stuck there for potentially, if you do well, a 20-minute match, an 18-minute match, a 22-minute match, that yes, you can fight your way into it and you can cap, but they capped with 6 minutes left and you cap with 2 minutes left, and then you play it through multiple rounds and you get to it, and it's still worse than a coin flip that you're going to win it off of just having lost 2 fights and you've been kidnapped effectively for 20 minutes. So that's not great. Immediately Push is better because Push is looking at a 8-minute time. There's no between rounds waiting. There's no, reset, next round, that sort of thing. It's just 8 minutes. So that is an improvement from a pure time standpoint. On the other hand, it still does feel like a chore to go, hey, the opponents won the first 2 fights in Push, and now you have to win more than 2 fights because the Push bot has to go back as well as go forward. And yes, he goes back more quickly than he goes forward, but he does have to go back and you have to win more fights than they had to win. So that first fight advantage that we've talked about in Koth is even bigger or at least as big in the Push mode, where, hey, this is a very big deal that we're working with here. So people are going to figure out Push over time, and that'll probably make it better as people figure out, hey, if you're losing a fight, it makes more sense to disengage rather than to die on the robot a lot of the times to get the next fight faster. Especially when we're talking about that first fight there, you do only need one person pushing the push bot for full speed, and so you want your people to push ahead, to set up, do that sort of thing so they can make it harder for the opponents to push back in. As people get better, this game mode will get a bit better, I expect. But that's not the only issues that people run into with it. People also have the distance from spawn issue. Actually finishing the map, actually capping it all the way at the end there, you're fighting right on top of the opponent's spawns, and spawns have been shortened down to 8 seconds from 10. You don't have the overtime or the mechanics of 2CP, where after you were on the point long enough, they'd start respawning slower. You don't have any of that going on. It's even harder. But I don't really buy that argument because the same is true for payload and hybrid maps, where it gets harder to cap the closer you get to the end. And again, with only the 8-minute clock there, your winning strategy really doesn't have to include a full cap. So I don't really buy that argument. I think that argument's kind of hogwash. But then I think what actually is bothering people that they haven't maybe figured out yet is there's less structure. There's a fair amount less structure to Push than there is even to King of the Hill. And the reason for that is the Push robot retakes space pretty darn quickly. So when you're attacking in 2CP, it's super structured, you know where the point is. When you're attacking on payload, the payload pushes in pretty slowly, relatively speaking, and retreats pretty slowly. The Push bot retakes his space if he's going, hey, back to somewhere he's already been pretty darn quickly, and that causes a situation where if you misestimate when the fight is going to start by, say, 5 seconds, your entire team is out of position because the bot has moved, as we can see here, can move at a decent clip. Here, he's not moving that fast. He's moving at basically payload speed, but if he was pushing back the other direction, that's really fast, and that makes the fights feel more swingy, more wild, more deathmatchy in some point, and not the structure that Overwatch is sort of known for. So I think there's some of that going on. But what do you guys think? Do you look at this and go, no, Push is great, I love it? Do you look at Push and say, hey, I hate it? And what do you think is causing you to like it or not like it? Let me know in the comments down below. If you're enjoying the content, drop a like, consider subscribing for more Overwatch 2 thought-provoking content, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks, Temporal out.